Okay, we're going to continue on today. I want to read to you the first page of my book, God's Truth. It talks about the creation story and how we were created, but I cover blood types in it to go along with the creation story. Now, Dr. Arnold Murray, a PhD language scholar, a preacher for over 50, 60 years, he preaches on Shepherd's Chapel. Now, he's been dead about 10 years, but he did a CD that you can get from Shepherd's Chapel, channel 256, channel 224 on direct, and 256 on dish. He's on Roku, and he travels all over the world with a satellite dish. And they have film of him, of all his preachings over the years. And his son Dennis Murray took over Shepherd's Chapel. And now Dr. Murray's films are being broadcast. He broadcasts like me. He's a fellow I learned a lot from, PhD language scholar. He's fluent in Hebrew, Greek, Chaldean, Spanish, English, Japanese, and Korean. Chosen vessel, in my opinion, like Paul. Fluent in all those different languages. Now, he takes a scroll, an old Hebrew scroll of Genesis, and he'll read it to you word for word and tell you what each word means in that scroll. It's in Hebrew, and it's a scroll, an old scroll of Genesis, and he does the first 6 chapters of Genesis, and he reads it to you, and you can buy a CD from Shepherd's Chapel and get that knowledge. Now, I'm going to tell you what's in the scroll best that I can here on the first page of my book. Now, here we go. 14,000 years ago was the Catapult, or Satan's overthrow, when the dragon used his tall tails to make a sucker out of 1/3 of God's children. And that's Revelation 12, chapter 3. The dragon used his tail to sweep 1/3 of God's stars. We were all spiritual creatures in the first earth age. We weren't made in the flesh until the 6th day after the Catapult. So that'd be 8,000 years ago, God created flesh man. We were spiritual beings, and we'll be all changed into spiritual beings at the last trump, the 7th trump, 1 Corinthians 15:52. At the last trump, the 7th trump, when the real Jesus comes, 777. The real Jesus comes in power and might, riding a great white war horse, and he'll have 10,000 warrior angels with him, and all flesh will be removed from the earth. 1 Corinthians 15:52, in the twinkle of an eye. Incorruptible. That means we'll all be changed into spiritual beings. Corruptible means flesh world. That means if you pinch yourself and you see what you think is the real Jesus in front of you and you feel it, that's not the real Jesus. That's the fake. That's Satan. He comes as the fake Jesus. Antichrist means the instead of Jesus at 666. He'll be here for 5 full moons in the form of as the fake Jesus. He comes. He'll look like Jesus. He'll act like he's Jesus, but he'll have the voice of a dragon, and that's what he is. The dragon is a symbol of Satan. The snake, the serpent. Lucifer means morning star. Jesus Christ is the bright morning star. So Satan tries to copy Jesus. For 5 full moons, Revelation 9 tells us the 7-year tribulation was reduced to 3.5 years. Time plus times plus halftime. 42 full moons, all God's prophecies involving Satan, are of the moon. So Satan comes for 5 full moons, 29.51 days, full moon to full moon, time 5, that's 147.65 days of Satan. Standing in the holy place in Jerusalem, proclaiming himself to be God. And God's going to let him do it for 5 full moons just to see how many people's going to follow him, and the whole world. It's written the whole world's going to be fooled by him. And the whole world's going to bow a knee to Satan, except for the elect. Now the elect, 144,000 plus the 7,000 over in Israel today, the elect, the elite, the Zadok, the upright, the teachers for 1,000 years in the millennial temple, the saints. They're the only ones that know what's fixing to happen and what to look for. Now let's continue on. God was very angry and ended the eon or earth age. Now 2 Peter 3 talks about the 3 earth and heaven ages. The first earth age, we were spiritual beings. The second earth age, God created flesh man. Gives us free will to make our choice to either love him or follow Satan. You're given free will at conception. When the sperm hits the egg, God sends one soul down from heaven to be born innocent in a water sack, to either love God or follow Satan. Ecclesiastes 12, verses 6 and 7. When the silver cord parts, when the clay pot breaks, when you quit sucking air, when you're clinically dead, the flesh body returns to earth, to the clay, to the dirt, and the spiritual body returns to God for judgment. Luke 16, you'll either go to one side of the gulf, the dark side, Satan's side, or you'll go to the bosom of Abraham. So it's up to you to either love God or follow Satan. Now, I'm going to continue on in my first page of my book, God's Truth. God was very angry and ended the eon or earth age. 2 Peter 3 and 2 Corinthians 12 Paul talks about the 3 earth and heaven ages, and Peter talks about it in 2 Peter 3. God decided to create flesh man, born of woman, in a water sack, innocent, given free choice to love God or follow Satan into the lake of fire. On the 6th day after the cattle bowl, God created the races, the hunter-gatherers, the people with the O blood, the red meat and potato eaters. God also created the fishermen. Now the O blood people, that's the black folk of Africa, and the white cavemen of Europe have the O blood. They're hunter-gatherers. Now the fishermen have the A blood type. Asia, red-skinned people, fish and rice eaters. God created the fishermen, the people of Asia, the people with the A blood and fish and rice eaters. Now these A-blooded people with the A blood, red-skinned people, came across the land bridge and they came to North America. Indian chiefs, squaws, Mexican people, North and Central and South America have the A blood. You can't digest red meat. You have to eat fish and rice. Red meat gives you diabetes, heart disease, and cancer at an early age when you try to consume that. Now on the 8th day, on the 7th day, God rested, and on the 8th day, God created the Jews, the people with the B blood type, the farmers, husbands, the descendants of Jesus, the people with the B blood. If you have a copy of the old scrolls and are fluent in Hebrew, you know what the Jews are to eat in Leviticus 11, God's food laws. He didn't change any of his laws. Matthew 5:17. Jesus came to fulfill the law. He did not come to change any